Hello, in this video we will examine how county lines work before exploring in greater detail the impact they have on children, vulnerable people and society in general, before finally looking at how you can play your part in identifying and helping the police and other agencies bring down a county lines network, and who to report your concerns to. Let's start with a quick reminder of what county lines are from the Home Office definition. County lines is a term used to describe gangs or organised criminal networks involved in exporting illegal drugs into one or more importing areas within the UK, using dedicated mobile phone lines or other form of deal line. They are likely to exploit children and vulnerable adults to move and store the drugs and money, and they will often use coercion, control, intimidation, violence, including sexual violence, and weapons. It's important to note that the distance between these points is irrelevant. A county line can operate within force and local authority areas. It is the organisation and exploitation behind the drugs line which impacts society. How do county lines work? Criminals move into new areas with the intention of setting up a drug supply chain. They use middle tiers to recruit their drug mule workforce, most of whom are children or vulnerable adults. The UK's road and rail systems are used to transport drugs and children, with middle tiers arranging the transport for the mules, for example trains, hire cars, along with private hire vehicles being used to make the drop. Burner phones, that is, where a SIM card is not registered, are used to manage the drug deals between dealers and buyers. Bulk texts and private social media accounts are also used to arrange drops with drug clients, crack dens and members of the workforce who deliver the drugs to the user. Cash collected from drug drops is laundered through online bank accounts, casinos, corrupt businesses and even cryptocurrencies are used to grow the local market and extend a criminal's control of drug supply in an area to develop a foothold. The finance raised is used to buy more drugs from wholesale importers and again distributed via the new network, taking on more mules to replenish any that have been arrested and to grow their market. This completes the supply circle. Where a criminal gang starts to supply in areas away from their hometown, to distance themselves from the criminal activity, they may lower their prices to gain a foothold or offer free drugs. Unwanted competition leads to serious violence between gangs. Children and vulnerable adult runners, their families and other innocent people are caught in the middle and often those most at risk of violence. The 6 key themes. So we know a little about how county lines work. Let's now explore some of the key themes touched on already. If any of these are familiar, please report your concerns as directed at the end of the video. Exploitation. Drug gangs exploit vulnerable adults and children, perhaps going through family breakdowns, with learning difficulties, living in care homes or trapped in poverty. They are often drawn in through social media and peers, exploiting their youth and insecurity. Criminals often look to groom and recruit children who are not known to the police or partner agencies, often referred to as clean skins. They are groomed with promises of money, friendship and status. Once drawn in, they are controlled with threats of violence and sexual abuse. They become traumatised and live in fear, paying for their keep through gifts from gangs, making them indebted and ultimately forced into debt bondage. Before you know it, they become modern slaves. Should you come across anyone who is afraid to talk about their day-to-day activities and appears withdrawn, ask yourself, could this person be part of a county line gang? Transportation. Drug gangs use all elements of the public transport system, sending the vulnerable and exploited in taxis, buses, coaches, trains, hire and even pool cars across towns, cities and the UK. The mules transport the cash and often secrete drugs into their rectum or vagina, plugging. If you hear of a vulnerable person or child making regular trips, ask yourself, could this person be exploited by a county line gang? Illicit finance. Criminal gangs cannot just bank their significant gains without raising suspicion. Instead, they use a number of money laundering techniques to disguise their takings. Having used mules to transport cash, it is laundered through corrupt shops, casinos, with online banking playing an ever-increasing role. If you hear of frequent cash deposits, ask yourself, could this be a sign of county lines activity? Violence. Drug gangs entering an area already supplied by an existing gang are highly likely to lower the price of their drugs, which in turn gives rise to an increase in serious knife and gun-related violence, turf wars, as dealers try to shut one another down. The targets are often children acting as drug runners. If you've noticed an increase in violence in your area, gang cultures, and an appearance of more weapons, then this could be a sign of a county line being developed. Drugs. All classes of drugs are traded, with homes of the vulnerable taken over as a base for illegal drug dealing, cuckooing. These people often become prisoners in their own home. If you know of vulnerable people, ask yourself if they could be a target for a county line's gang. Criminality. Overall, the existence of a county line in an area drives up crime, from theft and prostitution to pay for drugs to violent attacks on drug mules leading to deaths. Money is the driver, and ruthless gang leaders will exploit anyone to make it. If you've noticed an increase in general crime activity in your area, could this be down to county lines? How are the police responding? There are lots of ways that the police are responding to the threat of county lines. Many police forces have initiatives to tackle the transportation of drugs and cuckooing. Many arrests have been made and county lines have been closed down. The police are working with partners to investigate cases where vulnerable people have been exploited, and a lot of effort is being placed on trying to identify their exploiters. Police will make the best use of legislation where possible and, in fact, have successfully obtained civil orders to prohibit exploiters from certain activities that could lead to exploiting others. How can you help? Open your ears. E. Exploitation. Remember, county lines have a foundation built on exploitation. If we can work to protect the young, vulnerable, and those where their home has been taken over, cuckooed, we undermine this foundation. Those exploited are cheap to employ, disposable, and easily replaced if arrested. Signs of exploitation can be where the young or vulnerable go missing from an area. If we remove a drugs gang method of distributing drugs and collecting money, we bring the leaders out into the open and expose them to the risks should they wish to continue dealing. The key is A. Awareness. County lines don't just operate across borders. The term is a little misleading. Drug supply chains operate between towns, within counties, and even across cities. As a professional involved in healthcare, teaching, social services, policing, etc., you will more than likely come into contact with vulnerable people. Please make everyone you work with aware too. Look for signs of county lines. For example, did you know that a train ticket holds lots of information that can be of use to the police when investigating a county line? Maybe there are signs of unexpected wealth, new phones, clothes, etc. Possibly unexplained injuries, or unusual or increased levels of activity or antisocial behaviour in residential properties, which may indicate cuckooing. If you think something indicates a county line, then please, report it. If you recognise any of the topics outlined in the 6 key themes above, please contact the police, or, to remain anonymous, Crime Stoppers without delay. You might be able to complete an online intelligence referral form if your local police force has one. Refer your concerns to someone who will take action to investigate them further. Remember, it's all about S. Safeguarding the vulnerable. Keep this in mind at all times. It's the weakest in the county line structure who are exposed to the greatest risks and who need to be protected from coercion and violence. Who can I contact? If you suspect any county lines activity, dial 101 999 in an emergency. If on a train, contact the British Transport Police on 61016. Or call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Where can I find out more? For further information, refer to Home Office web pages, the Knowledge Hub, and search County Lines. You'll need to sign up for a guest login if you don't already have one, or NCLCC. Also view the Section 45 Defence and NRM SketchUp videos.